Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I hope that you all are well. I am Myneesha King, and tonight we are excited. It is Wednesday, September the 22nd, and we are bringing to you celebrating Black literacy. Wednesdays are always an exciting evening. I have the privilege of speaking to the most amazing people on the planet, Black authors who are doing their thing, who are making changes, who are, impacting this world for the greater good, the most unselfish, creative, innovative people. I just really, really enjoy Wednesdays being with you. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to Celebrating Black Literacy. Again, I'm your host, Myneesha King with the King's Press LLC. The King's Press LLC is a publishing house in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. We are family owned and we provide platforms for the unsung heroes, the voiceless, and the invisible. So people would like to think. However, when you have a people such as African Americans who have been making their and leaving their marks for generation upon generations, there's nothing invisible about us. We are here. We are here to stay. We, love people. We love one another. And our mission as authors, is definitely to dispel the myth that one, Blacks aren't reading, Blacks aren't educated, Blacks aren't able to write, we're illiterate. All of those things are false. So the more and more you see us coming into your homes, you see us on these platforms, you'll get it at some point, I hope. So again, if you're tuning in for the first time, thank you. If you're coming back, thank you. I ask always at the beginning that you will share the video. So I'm going to take time to ask that now. We appreciate your support, and we know that the more these videos are circulating, the more visibility the show is getting, and we're growing. And the more that we grow, the more information that is put out there, and people are able to see the positivity of these lovely authors, and the I would say the brilliance, because everyone that I have spoke to and that's been on this show, there's something brilliant about their lives, their journeys, their stories, their books, and the work that they do. So I thank you for sharing it. And I hope that you will continue to support. I hope this won't be your last time tuning in. And if you are an author and you're, or an aspiring author and you're looking for some support, maybe you want promotions, maybe you're looking for more marketing and, some help and assistance in getting your work out there. Maybe it's that you're just beginning to write and you've been looking for a publisher, because once that product is finished, you would like someone to help you, move it further into the publishing stages. So we can help you at King's Press LLC. If you just go on over to our website, www.kingspresspublishing.com, fill out the questionnaire. An agent will be in touch with you. And another way that you can connect, I would say you can connect with me on Facebook. What you're viewing now, my personal page is Myneesha King. Our business page on Facebook is at the King's Press LLC, and we're also on Instagram at the King's Press LLC. So very simple. We're here for you. We want to support you. We want you to get your message out there. We want you to leave your legacy, through the power of words. So definitely check us out. So tonight we have two fabulous authors. Of course, I'm going to always let them share their story and introduce themselves. However, when I read, the bios, I was just so, definitely inspired. And I'm always inspired, but because these people aren't average, so it's something to be inspired about. But I think tonight you're really going to enjoy these authors, and I want you again to engage with them. I want you to support them. I want you to actually purchase their books, purchase their materials, follow them, connect with them, find out how, you guys can maybe even help one another and support each other. That's always great. We're better together. So without further ado, let me bring in these fabulous authors for you this evening. Again, I hope you shared, and I hope you will engage and be supportive. So welcome back, Miriam and Pilos. Hello.
Hello.
How are you guys?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. We are now airing the broadcast. Mr. Pilos, you doing good?
I'm feeling successful. How about yourself?
Awesome, awesome. I'm feeling great, and I love that. So let's go ahead and get started. Miriam, won't you start off by introducing yourself?
Oh, yeah, sure. My name is Miriam Baldwin. I live in the Netherlands. I'm a wife. I am a caregiver to both my husband and my brother. I'm a motivational speaker. I am an author. And I'm the proud owner of a 6-week online program, Caregiver 2.0. Today I'm a very, very strong and confident woman. I'm a happy woman today. And, the confidence that you see right now, I have to tell you, it wasn't always like this. What most people don't know is that there was a time when I was working full-time. But besides working full-time, I was also the caregiver, the cook, the cleaner, the driver, the groceries woman. I met my husband in 1998, more than 20 years ago, and he was a diabetic. And not even 1 year after dating, he started suffering from kidney failure. And it was hospital in, hospital out. So during those years of taking care of him, I was exhausted and I wasn't taking good care of myself, and I burned out. So it has been a long journey, but today, thank God, he is healthy. And in 2012, while I was at the office, I received a phone call from my husband. He asked me to call my brother. And I said, why should I call my brother? I'm at the office. He said, hon, I can't explain. Please call him. And when I called my brother, I hung up within 5 seconds. He was talking very strange. He had a stroke while I was talking to him on the phone. And since 2012, I became the caregiver of my brother as well. He was partially paralyzed, 46 years young. And it's I can't explain in words what it has done to me as an individual. I grew personally. I learned a lot. I can talk for hours, Myneesha. I can talk for hours. But what I want to say is that I learned so much. And I decided that I can do this. I can be a caregiver who owns her well-being, who lives a balanced life while she takes care of her loved ones.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I decided that, I want to share this with the world. I want the world to know that caregivers, they are doing an amazing job. And I want caregivers to know that they are not alone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing and you being willing to be vulnerable, in front of an audience, and also for you to give up so much of yourself for your loved ones, and then wanting to take that even beyond. I appreciate that. I know we're going to hear more about your story and your journey and your book. So thank you. Mr. Pilos.
Yes. Well, I'm from Houston, Texas. We all know Martha, several books. My story really comes from I would have to say, well, most Black men start off when we're young is on the street. So my story is about a transformation from going from the bottom to reach this platform, thanks to you. And I'm expressing this value that we need out here in the world today. And like Miriam expressed the value, there's family value. We need community value. I've been with my son, child, and my wife for 20 some years. And that's basically about it. You know, I'm not really too much of a great introductionary person, but that's basically my story.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. Thank you again for being here, Pilos and Miriam, and thank you also, Pilos, for the work that you're doing and your value for community and family. And I'm sure there's so much more that we're going to learn about again as well with your book. I'm excited, y'all. I hope you guys are excited about
Yes, I am.
tonight. I just feel like this is going to be, a great show. I feel like you guys have so much to give. So let's get into it. Let's talk about your book, Miriam. We'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. My book is named Caregiver 2.0 From Burnout to Powerhouse. So first, let me tell you why I decided to write my book. I met a friend from New York, Ithaca, New York, and we met online. And last year, August 5th or 6th, 2020, we decided to do a meet and greet. I wanted to see her, she wanted to see me. Anyways, she asked me, who's Miriam? And I told her my story. And I was so busy talking and I wasn't paying any attention to the screen. And when I looked at the screen, I saw that she had tears in her eyes. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. It wasn't my intention to make you cry. And maybe I should write a book. And she said, well, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Your story can help others. And I said, no, I was just kidding. Me writing a book? No way. No way. I was just kidding. And she said, no, Miriam, I would be honored to help you because I'm a writing coach. And I said, really? Why don't you think about it? And I said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. And 2 weeks later, August 22nd, 2020, I started writing my book. I cried a lot. I laughed a lot while writing my book. And the reason I decided to write my book is because I saw how many caregivers, family caregivers, are suffering. Our journeys are not the same, but the struggles are the same. The fear, anxiety, stress, exhaustion, and all those unwanted feelings, the guilt, the shame. And that's when I decided, Miriam, you can help others by sharing your story. And I had great help. And on June 10th, 2021, 3 months ago, my book was published. And within 1 month, it was Amazon #1 Amazon hot new release. I was blown away. And it feels so good that I can help others by sharing my story. And since I discovered what my story means and can do for others, I am so motivated to keep sharing my story. I am vulnerable. I share my emotions. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I laugh, and I can talk about it, and I ask my brother and my husband permission to share their vulnerability as well, because I share a picture of my brother in the ICU. You know why? It's the reality.
Right.
These things happen every single day. He was paralyzed. I had to shower my brother every day in the hospital. The nurses, they did all they could in the short amount of time they had. but they could only shower him once a week. They could do a quick fresh up every day. Okay. So when I saw that, I thought, his hygiene is a top priority. He couldn't talk after the stroke, and he couldn't walk because he was partially paralyzed. So when I asked him, his name is Patrick, I asked him, Patrick, do you mind if I shower you? And he mumbled and he looked away because he was shy. It felt awkward that his little sister would shower him. And to be honest, seeing my brother naked, yes, that felt awkward. But there was no way I was going to let embarrassment win from me. And his hygiene was a top priority. So I asked the nurses, the medical professionals for help, how to shower someone who's connected to medical devices, and they said, well, we can show you what the do's and don'ts. And that's what they did. And yes, the first time it felt awkward. The second time it felt less awkward. The third time, and that's how we did it. That's how we did it, because I knew that he would improve if he was showered daily. And I had to overcome the embarrassment, and so did he. But this is what caregivers go through. And this is what I share in my book. I share my transformational journey as a caregiver. I share tips. I share my mistakes and how to avoid them. And what people can learn from me. And how I changed my mindset and why I changed my mindset.
That's very, not me to interrupt you, but it's very important, the mindset. And a lot of us is getting away from that. And thinking is a hard job for most people, but it's very imperative that we do the thinking. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you just called me when you said that.
Yeah, that was,
no worries. Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And I always say it didn't happen overnight. Not at all. It took me months. And as I mentioned before, I burnt out. And how did they find out? I remember that my husband had a kidney pancreas transplant surgery in 2003. And I was running the whole day from desk to desk without taking care of myself. So after the first major surgery, we had a conversation with a social worker in the hospital. And she asked me the simple question, Miriam, how are you doing? That's when I broke. I cried and sobbed like a child for 15 minutes. And I was mad at myself because I didn't want Martin, my husband, we weren't married yet at that time. I didn't want him to see me like this. Because Miriam thought she was a superhero, and I had my superhero cape on. I thought I could do it all by myself.
Now, let me ask you this. Does your brother live with you and your husband now?
No, he doesn't. He lives on his own. Today he can walk and talk again.
Awesome.
His right arm isn't functioning, but he can live on his own. He lives 20 miles away from me. He still needs care, but it's less than before. But he still needs care, and so does my husband. So I was telling you about a social worker. So when I got home that day, Martin was still recovering in the hospital. When I got home, I looked in the mirror and I asked myself, Miriam, what are you going to do for you?
It's important.
And I couldn't answer. I knew the answer, but I couldn't get those words out of my mouth. And I asked myself the question again, Miriam, what are you going to do for you? If something bad happens to you, you can't help anyone.
Right. Exactly.
And that was my wake-up call. That was my wake-up call.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm going to have more questions for you so we can unpack that some more. But thank you, Miriam. That was so, powerful. A lot of the things that you said was, it definitely resonated with me, and I'm sure the audience is resonating with. I could tell Pilos is in agreement. There's some things that's hit him, so we're definitely going to unpack this a lot more, and I want to learn more. At this point, I do want to shift focus, and I want to hear from Mr. Pilos. I want to hear about your journey, hear about your story, your book.
If you look at the cover of my book, I'll just use that illustration to start off. You will see the eye of Ra, which represents the light inside of the brain. Well, like I said, I started on the block. I left home at 14. You know how the king and the prince is in the same castle.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my father really didn't have a best relationship. And he told me one day, there's only one king in this castle. And I told him I'm not trying to take the king position. I'm just trying to learn to be a prince. But that didn't work for him. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I left home. I still finished high school, but I was on the streets, doing what I had to do to survive, living in the motels, sleeping in the cars, and going from different aunts' houses, but I didn't lay up on my aunt. Since I was in the street, I did have money to provide. I didn't want to be a loser and abuser. So that transformation, I said to myself, it's got to be a better life. It has to be a better way. I can't keep living like this. So at 16, 17 years old, I became a father. So I knew I had to do different, but I didn't know how. So at the time, there was the picture of Denzel Washington with Malcolm X. That was my example of me. If Malcolm can go from that street, I know I can. So I had to change my psychological thought. And going from the street, there's a difference between being on the street and in the streets. And when you're in the streets, your life is on the line and your freedom. You can get caught up in spending your life in the prison cell or early grave. I like to call it either the cage or the grave. Mm-hmm. And so I had to change the way I think. So now since I changed the way I think, now it's time for me to go back and do something for these guys. Because if I can come off that block and have a better life, they can too. And this is what my book is about. Like Miriam said, the mindset. Mindset is very important to make that transformation, because if we don't change the way we think, we'll continue to do the same and get the same and be the same. So if we continue to be the same, we just continue the same cycle that's going down to our kids. And we say we love our kids, but love is something we do, not more than what we express. So if you really say you love, then you would do what you need to do, what you say, certainly what you love, and not just express it. Like we always say, actions speak louder than words. So I love my child, and I need to act according to that, so it can speak the loudest, and then my child can be like I am with my book. I mentor people in Arizona, Alabama, and Louisiana, and here in Houston, Texas. And the book has changed their lives. So they take the book and talk to other people. And we dialogue on this book, and it's been going on 2 years. We still dialogue on the book. They always say every time I read your book, it's like I'm missing something. I said, well, that's because you have to lose yourself sometime in order to find yourself. So that's exactly what you're doing. You're reprogramming your mind, and which is reprogramming your whole life. So that's basically my journey that brought me to writing this book.
So sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm so happy you're saying this. We often don't know what to do. All you're saying,
yes,
it's true. We have to lose ourselves before we can find ourselves again. We have to fall to get up.
Yes.
But we will be stronger.
Yes.
When we get up.
Now, Mr. Pilos, what is the title of your book?
It's called The Bible of the Game.
The Bible of the Game.
Yeah.
All right.
One of the reasons why I call it this is because we all talk about the game of life.
Okay.
And we know the Bible is a book of wisdom and principles. Mm-hmm. So my book is about value. When you value yourself, you'll value everything else around you. Until then, if you can't recognize value, it can be sitting right in front of you and you'll lose it because you can't identify what it is. So this is
Wow.
what my book is about, the value, because when I was in the street, there's no value out there.
Right.
So the elders saw something in me, you know, on the street. We call them the OGs, but they saw something in me. They used to always tell me this. So you're going to go far, man. You're a good listener, you know, and I tell kids now, you might not like what I'm saying, but just listen. You use, as long as you use what nature's giving you, you will come out better. But if you just totally ignore it, heed the warning, because the destruction is coming, you know, because you don't have no value, like money. You know, today we have a money issue. Everybody, you know, more money, money, money. I tell them, well, you can't keep money or have money come to you because you don't value yourself. Like the Bible tells us, seek the kingdom first, which is yourself. And everything can be added. The money, the car, the good life, all that will come. But you have to work on you first. So if you don't do the great work, you can't receive the great reward.
Now, thinking about the value, that is so important. And I just want to ask, because what you're saying, everything that you're saying is just, it's hitting my soul in terms of the value and understanding the importance of your own value, and then also being able to share that and give that to others. So I taught middle school, you know, for about 3-4 years. And that was one of the things that I always tried to get my students to understand. And I think so many young people are missing that value even till today. And I would want to ask you, how do we as a community and as a people, and then I think it starts in a home, but if it's not happening in a home, what can we do to make sure these young people understand their value?
Oh, that's a great question. Here's one of the reasons we have to live it, because kids, their mind develop later, as we all do. They still undeveloped minds. So they emulate what they see. So we have to live this manhood and this womanhood in front of them and be that example. And when we have a good example and a good foundation, they'll say, man, how can I live like him? How can I have that stuff they have? Well, value. When you have value, you prosper. And value leads to the principles of prosperity. So if you leave out value, you'll leave out all the prosperity because you're not standing on principles. So we have to live it. A lot of us like to speak it. You know, I was talking to this guy, not to get too far off your conversation, but what you said, I was speaking to this guy and I told him this here. I said, when you leave out principles, you can left out the prime thing that you need. Because if you ain't standing on nothing, how can you build something?
Right.
You know,
right. That's so
it's just like a ladder.
You know, true. Good picture. You know, a good image using a ladder as, you know, symbolism, because definitely you're gonna fall if you're not standing on something. And principles are definitely, you know, imperative. You know, it's an imperative, but there's so much work to be done. But I'm glad that you're having these conversations. I'm glad that you're mentoring and making an impact. And we're going to get more into that as well. When we're talking about value, Miriam, at what point, because you've been through a lot of storms and you've been through so many changes, at what point did you understand your value? And not necessarily, well, I don't know how you would have derived at that. So you tell us, at what point did you understand your value and what got you there?
So let me go back to the story of the social worker. When I got home, looked in the mirror, told myself, okay, Miriam, what are you going to do for you? Then I told myself, Miriam, you are worthy of a wonderful life too. I am worthy of a wonderful life too. And I kept saying that every day, a couple of times a day. I told myself, I am worthy of a wonderful life too. It was a thought, became a belief. I started believing it. And once I started believing it, I started taking action. And with this, I mean, I started finding ways how to live a balanced life as a caregiver. And I told myself, I am worthy of a wonderful life. And that's when I discovered my worth, my value.
Okay.
It didn't happen overnight. It took me quite some time. And with this, I mean a couple of months. But I told myself every day, even though you're a caregiver, even though you're working hard, there are ways for you to have less stress, to reduce your stress, to do self-care and not feel guilty when you take care of your own vessel.
So I find it interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes, sure.
Excuse me. May I ask a question, Mary? When you was doing all this, taking care of your brothers, you was writing at the same time, or was it more like a little here, or?
No, I started. You mean writing my book?
Yeah, while you was taking care of your.
I was journaling when I burnt out. I had to find ways how to take care of myself. And one of those ways was journaling 3 to 5 minutes in the morning while I'm enjoying my breakfast. I journal, but I also start with meditation. I had to learn many things. I had to learn how to ask for help, which was a big issue for me, asking for help. As I told you before, when Miriam had her superhero cape on, she was walking like this, but inside, I was devastated. I was crying. So I had to learn so many things, asking for help, doing self-care, seeing possibilities.
That's all good. And it's interesting how and I think men and women both do this. You know, you put on the facade as though you have it all together and you're strong, but inside you're crumbling and you're trying and you don't want to ask for help at times, but you know that you need help. Why is it that you guys think that, you know, we don't want to admit that we need help in times of when we're trying to help someone else? Couldn't it just be that even as we're helping, we can also still get help?
It's fear. It's judgment, afraid to be judged. That's why we don't ask for help. In my case, I was afraid to be judged. What would others think of me? Now, today, I know that it's none of my concern what others think of me.
Right, most definitely.
That part.
Most definitely.
How about you, Pilos?
I think it's more so of pride.
I
call it the pride in the mask. We wear the mask to let people see what we want them to see. And we put this pride around it, this great facade. And we know you can't wear that 24/7. It's going to break down. Usually, sometimes it breaks down at the point we don't need it to break down. So they'll say, now, why you didn't ask for help? You know, now look at you and you in this situation. Why you just didn't ask? Right? Because pride before destruction.
Simple. Thank you. Thanks so much. So this is so good, y'all. There's so many ways and so many things, but I want to talk also about your process. I know, Miriam, you started journaling, and that kind of led to your book along with your experiences. What did you do to start writing, Pilos?
The street life. I used to have 4 guys used to always ask me questions. I know you said something about why women and men do this earlier. Well, it was dealing with women. You know, back then I was a womanizer. Let me just be honest with my audience. I was a womanizer. And these guys used to come to me, asking me for questions. And the guy said, man, you're a genius with this, man. You need to write a book. So it just struck like, what? I mean, I don't know about this genre. I don't know about this journey. So I had to work a little overtime to make the money to get after I did my investigation, what it costs to get the book published. And I started from there. If I could talk to 4 people, guys, to get their marriages, relationship, and to get themselves together, maybe I can reach 4 or 5 million, because here's one of the stupidities we do as men. We have an issue with the one woman and run out here, go get another. If you can't deal with the one, why are you trying to get another one? So I was like, oh, we can't repeat this process. So this book is very important. And the honesty that we don't do. We could be married or with a woman. And the other lady asked, are you with someone? And here's that pride of a man. No, I'm not with nobody.
Mhm.
Knowing he is. And it breaks down everything. The house broken, no organization, no fatherhood, everything. And this here, the whole community starting to crumble just from the house and the chain effect. So that's how I started writing my book at that time. Because like I said, I was in the street, so I had to do what I had to do. I was helping these guys. And this is how I was feeding myself. And started from 4 guys, mentoring 4 guys. And he put that idea, you know, you need to write a book, man. You're a genius with this. So,
Okay. Now, are you self-published?
no, I haven't got that journal right now. I'm still writing with a publishing company, and I kind of like the way they treat me in the relationship right now. You know, with change, I'm gonna change too, but I'm going with the tide right now.
That's good. Okay, good. Are you self-published, or are you working with the publisher, Miriam?
No, self-published.
Okay, okay. How's that journey been for you? Was that something that the coach helped you with, or did you just kind of start out researching? How did that work?
The coach helped me with the writing process and the editing part. And I did some research about self-publishing. Ingram's Park helped me many times. And I had 2 guys on Fiverr who, the one helped me with a description for Amazon, and the other one helped me to convert my document, my Word document, to the correct files for Kindle and paperback.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research myself. It was all worth to do. I'm not gonna lie, it was all worth it. And once again, when you get compliments, reviews from your readers, what they have learned from you. First of all, a lot of family members were like, what? I didn't know this. Did this happen to you? Even my best friend, she said, Miriam, I feel like I didn't help you enough. And I said, no. Miriam didn't ask for help. It isn't you that did something that, you know, don't feel, how do you say that? Don't feel guilty. I wasn't asking for help because I thought, you know, so I published my book myself, and I'm very grateful for all the people I'm helping now who are reading my story. And once again, my situation is not another caregiver situation, but the struggles, it will relate. They will see and read many things that they are experiencing right now.
You're the second author that I spoke to that is on the caregiving side, and writing books about caregiving. It was a young lady from last week's show, actually, that her next book is going to be about her journey being a caregiver for both of her parents. And I think that it's sort of like a world of its own. You know, sometimes you don't really think about the supplemental, I guess, or, you know, the additional lives that people are leading. Like, you know, okay, people are working and they're doing their thing with their families, but you don't think about that branch of so many people are out here taking care of family members and people that are an extension of their family, and how the circumstances are around that. Because I know that doesn't really cross my mind. Yeah. I mean, I'm 41 years old. My parents aren't really old. However, my father does have some illnesses and things, and I would think, being the eldest child, that I would be his caregiver. But I haven't really stepped into that yet. And so I can't imagine how that life is, but
it can knock on your door right away. Just like it knocked on my door when we were sitting in the doctor's office, and he looked at Martin's file and he said, your kidneys function for only 17%. And I was like, what? You mean 17? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean, kidney failure? I didn't know anything. I was 29. I didn't know anything about kidney failure. When you're 29, you want to hang out in the club and dance and do fun stuff. Instead,
Right.
I was going to the hospital in and
Wow.
out.
And you
And
have to
when
learn, right?
I had to learn, and when he started with dialysis, he started with peritoneal dialysis. I don't know if you know what that is. Then they connect the tube in the belly,
Yes.
Okay.
and then you can do it yourself. What we
Okay.
didn't know is that there was a bacterium in the tube. So we had a lot of peritonitis, so a lot of inflammations. And because of that, he couldn't be on the transplant list. So he had to switch to hemodialysis, which meant 3 times a week, 4 hours on a machine.
Wow.
So that's the only way. But still, I kept looking for possibilities.
Yeah.
How can we are addicted to traveling. How can we still travel? Okay, we can do a diving holiday, but we can do another holiday.
Yeah, life just changes, right?
Life
Totally.
changes completely.
Well,
Life changes completely. And you know what? One more thing I want to say in my book, Caregiver 2.0 From Burnout to Powerhouse, another thing that helped me is, I created an acronym, follow. The
okay.
F stands for forgive yourself. The O for be open-minded. The first L, listen to your gut. The second L, learn new things. The other O, see and grab opportunities. And the W, know your worth.
Wow.
Follow.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm definitely going to be sharing that, and I'll give you credit. One of the, amazing authors I spoke to gave this acronym, and here's what it's about. I love learning from other people, so thank you. You both have had so much wisdom and dropped so many jewels. I want to go back to something you said, and I'm thinking about Pilos, when you said love is what you do.
Yeah.
So many people think that it's an expression. So I know Miriam wouldn't be caring for her brother or her husband if it wasn't for love. I know that you wouldn't be giving as much as you're giving to your family and even changing your life because, if it wasn't for loving yourself and loving your family members the same. With this word and this idea of love and people thinking so much of you can give love and you can take it back. Let's unpack a little bit about what you're saying in terms of love being the action, not just necessarily the expression.
Yes. I always like to say you can't give what you don't possess.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in order for you to give love, you have to possess it. And one of the things we have, like we first started a relationship, I'll say it like this. One of the pertinent questions we don't ask, what is your definition of love? So if I don't understand that person's definition of love, I will have to look at their actions.
Okay.
But a lot of people like to give us this definition of love. Not to get too far off your question, but when Miriam talked about her acronym, well, this is what PLOS is. PLOS is an acronym. Every person that ever lived and ever will live and have lived are PLOS. You say, how is that? P is for psychology. L is for living. O is for operative. S is for system. This is the man side. The women is physiological, living on an operative system. Because the way we think and feel becomes our life system. We operate on that system. Now, sometimes we lock our own self out of a good system. Psychology is not what it needs to be. See, it's all down with the knower, the thinker, and the doer. When you know what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to think and see how I'm going to get it done and do it. Like James says in the Bible, don't be just a hear words only, but be a doer. Now, these here's a word is not from the people from the outside. It's that conscience in here that tells her I need to do the right thing. In Mary's case, I need to ask for help, but I don't want to. But she still was doing what her conscience was telling her to do. I got to take care of this family. That's love will move you anyway. Don't care who you are, it's going to move you. Most men don't want to acknowledge love. So I asked them this: why are you backing away from it if it's weak? You only back away from what's strong. It's a powerful thing when you totally understand what it is. And when you understand what it is, it'll move you to do what it's supposed to be doing anyway.
Now, let me ask you this, because you said you have a son, right?
For me, yes.
Yeah. Now, do you see a lot of similarities or differences in your son because of how you are now? What would you say?
Well, my son was in the streets like I was.
Okay.
Okay. And his mother was still, mothers want to be protectors. So I did it like this. Okay, you in the streets, you know what you're doing, go ahead. There's only two places, the cage or the grave. Okay. When he got caught up, in the court system where now you dealing with your freedom, he was like, okay, Pops, what I'm to do. So I told him, you do this, which means start reading, change your psychology. So when you change your psychology, you change your energy, you change your posture, you change who you are. When you walk into the courtroom, then I want you to ask your lawyer this. And when he walked in there, the judge told him, he looked like a different man. We're going to throw this out. And he said, man, when you was talking all this, Pop, I thought you was crazy. I said, you know why? Because you didn't understand what I was saying and why I was saying it. So you went through it. Now, he's an avid reader, and the person's on his level. He's 23 years old. Now, he's the one that's being the mentor of those 20 and 22 years old.
Powerful.
Taking this thing. Now he can see clearly what I was saying, so.
Powerful. That mind is a powerful thing.
Yes, it is.
And if we could just really get that together, I just think it'll be life-changing for so many people. But sometimes people don't want to listen, no matter how many tools and systems you try to provide for them. There's people that just don't want to accept it. And that's the tough part. But I'm glad that you are continuing to pour out. I'm glad that you're reaching so many homes and so many lives. So really quickly, I'm sure throughout your journey, there were some people that you had to listen to. You had to get some support and some help from. Who would you like to acknowledge on today's show?
There are so many people, but first, my husband and my brother for staying strong, for teaching me the lessons, for teaching me who Miriam is, who am I, for turning my pain into my purpose. And also my sister from another mister who lives in Ohio, Ashley Jackson, for being on a mission together with me to reach as many caregivers in the world, to let them know that they are not alone and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I can only help people who want to get help. You already talked about it a few seconds ago. But because of my past experience, I now have the privilege and the pleasure to help caregivers all over the world. We only live once.
That's it.
We live every day. And you are the only one who can change your life. But you got to do homework. You got to do the homework. Take baby steps with radical action. And getting to the next level, it's different for everyone. For the one, it can be, okay, I don't know how to meditate. For the other one, it can be, how do I do self-care? It's different for everyone. Don't compare yourself to someone else. Start where you are in your journey, but start.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, the person that I had to thank and acknowledge is me first, because I had to listen to my conscience. If I didn't listen to me, I wouldn't be a good listener to anyone. And like I said earlier, the elders in the community, they say you're going to go far because you're a good listener. And I always ask this, I also put it in the book. If you're really listening, what are you using? And most people say their ears. I said, well, then you're not listening. Ears is for sound. Mind is for listening. Because if you can't listen, don't know how to listen, you're not going to understand what needs to be understood. We say brain, this thing is, this mind is real powerful. It is. And I utilize it. I'm telling you, I mean, I sit inside this mind for real. One of the guys who read my other book called The Game Remains, he said, man, you really live in your mind. I have to. And if I'm not living in my mind, like the Bible says, God created man in his image. And we know when it comes to God, we're thinking of creator. So man is to create. How can he create if he doesn't use his mind? How can I create this life that I want if I don't use my mind? That's how I got here. From the street to, not to be braggadocious, but being a 3,000 feet square home. Come on, I mean, living in the, sleeping in the cars. It takes a changing the psychology. How do you do that? I have to do what I haven't done. Information. If you're not getting information, which is reading the books, how can you go in and form the nation, which is you, the body? Each one of us come from a nation of people. So this is what information is. It changes you, transform you, and when you transform, your life around you transform. Then I like to thank my father. Like we talk about love, my father didn't express love. He was hardcore. I'm talking about an iron fist. You dig? So, and you used to ask him questions. He would say, because I said so. Okay, because he said so. From that toughness, and we had the class. Now I can understand before he passed, because he was battling with kidneys too, kidney failure. And he had a transplant, so he passed. Before he passed, he told me this. I only tried to keep you out of trouble. I said, oh man, I know that now. And we just had a different of minds. But my nephew told me a while back, he said, man, that old man really respects the way you thought. He didn't understand the process, but he liked the way I thought. I know because, like I said, I used to work around psychologists and psychiatrists also. So I understand that care thing. And I love being around the psychologist because, like I said, I live deep in my mind. I always have. I also meditate in the morning. And my first battle with that was sitting 8 hours in the corner, battling those voices. And I can understand when Paul said, I've seen the light, but didn't understand it. They come back now, understand the light and hear the voice. That's getting all those other voices that you heard from all your past life out the way to come to the reality, hear the voice of God, which is the power of reasoning, love, and logic. So I also like to thank my sunshine, which is my lady, my queen, been on my side for 20 years to put up with a very complex man like me. And my kids and my grandkids. So now they give me something to live for, because this is what happened also these great grandmothers, because the young parents today don't understand parenting, so it gives the grandmothers and great grandmothers a reason to live longer, which is good. And and other people that I've helped, I thank them for listening and acknowledging. And keep writing, Lord, keep writing, man. I have to, it's in me, I mean. I've been through enough to say enough, and it's a lot that could be said. And I know in Mary's case it is too. And also for you reaching your excellence in your platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So are you going into schools at all, Pilos?
Not yet. Most of them has been into people's home, churches, community centers. One time I had to stop, I was talking to guys in the barbershop. Like, wow, that's a good platform because it's full of young men that need to be hearing it.
Yeah. So if I can task you with anything, I'm going to ask that, you find a way to take your services into especially the middle school, if it's somewhere, some way that you can reach, girls and boys, but particularly our young men. I think that you would definitely be a necessary force in those schools. And I'm sure in your area, they need you just like all over. I can't tell you how much and how lost these young guys are.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you that, and I'm connected to you now, so I'll follow up with you too and see, like, okay, did you reach out? No, but thank you for what you're doing. And Miriam, I know you said you had like developed a workbook, or you're doing a class,
6-week online program. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so just really quick, if you can just, how are you doing that? Is that people registering? You said it's 6 weeks. Like, can you give us a little bit of what that looks like?
So on my website, miriambaldwin.com, they can schedule a call with me. I'd like to see and hear them first, know where they are, what their challenges are. I need to know where they are in their journey, and what do they want to learn. Okay, what are their expectations as a caregiver? So it's a 6-week live online program.
Okay.
I do mostly one-on-one, because most caregivers don't want to be in a group because they are shy to share what they are experiencing, and I totally understand that. So I dive deeper into the techniques I used and the tools I used, and how they can implement them into their daily life. I'm not a kind of person that says, okay, here's a 30-page workbook, go and read it, and then caregivers don't have time for that. Caregivers don't have time for that. So it's a system, and I want to see results. I'm celebrating their big and small wins. I am supporting them, and I'm guiding them, because if I can do it, they can do it too.
Most definitely, most definitely.
You have a lot. Are you doing this every day, or is this once a week you meet with your clients?
Once a week.
Okay.
For an hour.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you take a certain, like a caseload. Do you have a cutoff, or you just, hey, come everybody?
Well, I started a couple of months ago, and I'm still taking a couple of more people, because they finish after 6 weeks. And I always say, when you're done with my course, my program, you have your personal assistant SOS with an extra S for the rest of your life. Why do I call it an acronym? It's an acronym, PASOS. PASOSS. Your personal assistant SOS with an extra S for the rest of your life, because I teach them the techniques and tools that start with an PASOSS. So they have their personal assistant. Whenever they feel like they are slipping and going back to where they don't want to be, they can apply the techniques and tools again. They should.
Okay.
But you know what? Once they feel, once they know, once they experience the feeling, they don't go back.
Okay.
I don't want to go back to where I was.
Exactly. Right.
No way. I don't want to go back.
Good. So that's fantastic. And while you're saying that, real quick, can you tell people how to connect with you and how to purchase your book?
Absolutely. I'm pretty much everywhere. I'm on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse, my website, LinkedIn, Twitter, all Miriam Baldwin.
Okay, thank you. And you'll also, if you want this broadcast on Facebook, if you could add that in the chat as well, just what your sites are and things like that.
Absolutely. And my book is pretty much everywhere. You can purchase it via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Goodreads, Target. It's everywhere, worldwide.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Pilos? Where are we connecting with you? How are we purchasing your books?
Well, I always put my link where you can get the book on my Facebook page, and my Instagram page, and Twitter page.
Okay.
And I sell more books out the back of my car than I do online, because I'm out here talking with people. So, and I also put it inside of there.
Okay.
And I have mostly on the Friday, but when I talk to my people, we have this long week and everybody look to the weekend. But, I like to have it on Fridays because I know you had a long week. I don't want you to get on the Saturday, Sunday and lose yourself and all that progress that you put in. You start going backwards. So that's why I like the dialogue with them on Fridays.
Okay. All right. And I really also see a workbook to go along with your book. I mean, I don't know if you have the resource for that, but I mean, we would even be available to connect with you if you have any interest at the King's Press to talk about designing a curriculum, because
Okay.
again, I really believe in um, what you're doing and the even the whole your whole aura, your energy,
Yes.
what you're putting out. I think so many people need to grab hold of this. And then also, like I said, in the schools,
Yes.
I'm really big on education. Like I said, I've taught middle school. I've also taught high school. I've taught the younger babies, our whole family. My husband is an educator as well. So
Good.
any way that something, material or content can turn into curriculum
Yes.
for students to, you
Mhm.
know, grow and
Right.
become better citizens, because I think
Yes.
that's what's missing in the school system is so much of, let's take these tests, let's learn our math, and let's learn this literacy so that we can, or ELA, literature reading, so that we can
Yes.
pass these tests so these schools can get the money, but they're missing the life skills, and they're
Yes.
missing the
Yes.
how do I cope and how do I live and
Yes.
that type of thing. So
Yes.
I think that I definitely see that for you. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. You
Yeah.
guys are amazing.
Well,
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like to say this. There's really no elevation without education. But the
Mm,
way we look at education, we always think it has to do in the school, like I said, dealing with tests. That's not education. That's memory.
mm,
You know,
mm,
memory has nothing to do with education. Education
mm,
is training the mind, the brain, to think a certain way. So we don't teach the kids how to think because the majority of us don't know how to think either. We
mhm,
think because we have a lot of thoughts roaming through this brain, we thinking. No, you're not thinking. Thinking is strategic.
mm,
Thinking is tactful. When you're trying to go from one place to the other, you have to strategize, see how can I get there?
mhm,
And then you have to act on it because the
Yeah.
greatest teaching and lesson comes from doing, not
mhm,
sit there, analyze and being paralyzed by your
mhm,
analysis. You're not going to get anything done.
mhm,
Because when like I said, first started writing the book, I don't know nothing about this genre. I don't know nothing about this thing. But I still had to jump in there with both feet and get them wet to see how deep the water is.
mhm.
And fear is good if you know how to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to use it, then you'll submit to fear. Fear will be big and you will continue to stay small.
Okay.
So I use the thing that I fear to jump into that water. So it's so big, it's got to be something good in it. So
Mhm.
I jumped into it, but not to hinder me. So uh,
Love it.
that education thing, like I say, if it's not elevating, then it's not educating.
Yeah. Love
And
it.
when you jump and you don't get the result you wanted, jump again.
Mm,
Exactly.
mhm,
That's the conversation I had the other day with a young gentleman. The things we do, they talk about right and wrong. I said, okay, we teach it to the kids when they're young, right and wrong. Now as an adult, you should know what right and wrong. We doing things for results now. Like you said,
mhm,
jump with 2 feet, don't happen. Okay, you still got results. Look at it.
mhm,
And you take that, what you came up and jump again and say, okay, I'll take that and let me jump again. Let me take
mhm.
that. So all of these are the lessons,
Yeah.
and they really are stones or the rungs in the ladder.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to use the rungs of the ladder, then that's where you need to come talk to me and get my book and I'll show you how to use it.
Yes, for sure. For
Yes.
sure. And we're out of time. Guess what time it is, Telos?
Oh, wow. That did go by quick.
Told you. I
It
told
feels like we are sitting on a couch and having a nice
Yes,
organic conversation.
yes,
Most
yes.
definitely. Most definitely.
Amazing. Thank you both. This has been such an an enlightening time. And you guys are inspirations to me. I thank you again for your work. I thank you for how you're motivated and driven to bring about these results, not only for yourself, but for others. And I couldn't be more, appreciative that you took the time to stop by here on Celebrating Black Literacy with the King's Press, to give some of who you are. So I wish you both much continued success. And I know that's going to be there, success in so many forms. We're not just talking about money. We know that success is more than money, but I hope that you will stay connected. And I love to follow your journey and support you in ways that we can. We are actually out of time at this point, but if I'm here. If you guys want to connect, you know how to find me. And please be sure to end the chat when the show is broadcast, to leave your information and links and things for people to follow and support and connect with you. Okay.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much for having us. And it was nice to meet you, Pilas.
To meet you too, Miriam. Thank you.
Let's connect.
Yes,
all right.
definitely.
You guys have a great day. Great evening.
Thank you.
Bye. You're
Bye.
welcome.
Bye.
Awesome. So you guys, all of you that have tuned in tonight, and that will be sharing or have shared this video and have supported in some way, shape, or form, whether it was you hit a heart, you hit a like, you clicked onto the link, some way you've shared with these authors and made them feel appreciated. We definitely want to thank you. We want to thank you for your time and for tuning in. We want to thank you for your work, because this life is not easy. We all know that we go through struggles, we have wins, we have losses, but you're here and you kept going, and you're going to continue to do so. If you are here, you still have purpose. If you still have breath, you still have a mission, and sometimes that mission is not just about you realizing and you being awakened, but that does happen in a process. But there's always somebody that's around and that's connected that needs some of what you got and what you are put here for. So continue to find those opportunities to give light, continue to find those opportunities to show love, give love, be love, and then also loving on yourself. Don't ever forget the self-care, the self-love, the attention that you need, and how important you are as an individual, your own value. But as you find your value, then you have that, it's like a switch that turns on, that now you have everything inside of you and you realize it, and now you're giving it to others, and now they're beginning to understand theirs. So it's just like a revolving cycle, this circle of life. So I just thank you. I'm always, again, like I said, inspired by these authors. Tonight was nothing short of amazing. The both of these authors have just poured even into me. Like the whole show, it was just like my spirit was just churning. It was just like a fire. Of course, it wasn't about me sharing much. So I had to, listen to them and allow them to do what they do. But I want to let you know, Miriam and Pilos, that there's just been a fire churning. And I just really thank you for, again, stopping by and sharing a bit of you with our audience. And I look forward to great things for you both, as I said, and I'm staying connected. And all of you that have watched, and maybe it was something that resonated and something that said, you know what, I have a story to tell. I have something to give. I want to be heard. We have these circles that we're always venting or talking and spreading, giving encouragement. But take it beyond that circle. You know, jot those things down, begin to write, begin to type it out, find a publisher. You know, we can help you, of course, at kingspresspublishing.com. Look, I'm putting that plug out there. We can help you to get your book out there, but maybe it's not us. Maybe you want to do it yourself. Maybe you want to go with someone else. But more importantly, make sure that you write that book that can be life-changing for someone else and even yourself. I think we all change when we write our books. So again, connect with me here on Facebook at Myneesha King. Connect with our business pages on Facebook and Instagram at the King's Press LLC. And then if you want to reach out and actually speak to a team member at King's Press, or you want to contract us for services, again, it's www.kingspresspublishing.com. You guys, you've been amazing. Tonight has been great. So I hope you'll tune back in next Wednesday, September 29th. We have another fabulous show for you. Don't miss out on Kids Talk Tuesday either. Actually, no, that is, yeah, that's a whole nother month. So sorry, that's going to be in October. So, but we love for you to be here. We love for you to come back. Take care and be great.